Hey guys, welcome back to the Pot of Greed.
Extra turn.
Yeah, bonus episodes.
I don't know for what we're calling it.
We're close to a name on that. There have been some
figure it
good
out.
ones. I like the Squad of Greed for the channel members, but I feel like that wouldn't be the name of the segment. That would just
Squad of
be
Greed.
who they are. Anyway, these are the extra episodes that you get for being an APS Amplifier YouTube channel member.
Because you care, so that makes us care.
Well, I mean, we cared.
I
to
didn't
begin
care
with.
before they cared.
Yeah, okay.
Once they cared, I started caring.
What do you want to talk about today?
Let's talk about. I've heard that Konami's gotten a lot of criticism for what conventions they do or do not make appearances at. And that actually made me think about the fact that, we go to way more like anime and comic conventions than we do like YCSs nowadays.
Yeah, that's true. I don't know where to start with that. I mean, I guess I would say I don't think it's been like a conscious decision per se for me, but yeah, we definitely go to a lot more like anime conventions, Anime Expo, Anime Frontier, Acon, Anime NYC.
Years ago, right? 2014 through like 2017, 2018,
Yeah.
somewhere. It was quite common for us to hit up every major Yu-Gi-Oh event in
That was
our
like in the
region.
area, yeah. I mean, I think the last major event that we kind of went to was like YCS Atlanta in 2019.
And we're not counting
think.
Worlds, right?
Yeah. You and I have gone to Worlds a couple of times. I don't feel like it counts since it's such a
It's very exclusive.
kind of a different
event.
thing. It's very exclusive. Didn't get to
Actually,
go this
wait,
year.
it's now way more exclusive than it
Yeah,
was
now it's like
then.
much more exclusive, I suppose. Don't know what that's like, but yeah, I mean, it does sort of coincide with when I started going to anime conventions more. I think for me, it's just like YCS events are cool. I've been to my fair share. I've done my fair share of like Yu-Gi-Oh competing at those, and it's fun. So it's not to talk down on them, but I've actually just started to find that anime conventions are more. They offer me more for my like troubles.
Right.
Like as far as I see it, so like let's say that there's a YCS event that's like 4 hours away, like a 4-hour drive. Mm-hmm. I'd be more likely to go to an anime convention that's like a 4-hour drive away because there's just more for me to do during that weekend. Like at a YCS, and this isn't meant to come across as like hating them. I don't think anything's wrong with them in a general sense, but like I think Master Duel coming out influenced this. When I go to an event, I want to play Yu-Gi-Oh! And like only play. And so
Right.
having to wait for even just like sign-ups and the time between rounds and kind of just like sitting around between, like I just want to get to my next opponent like quickly. And Master Duel, I can just like hop on and queue up and play and play and play. And like at Yu-Gi-Oh! Events, I'm just like, man, I had to travel a long time to be here, and I'm just spending a lot of it like waiting around for me to get to the thing I want. But I mean, I guess I could also focus on more of like why I like anime conventions. What about you? What are you?
So for me, it kind of just coincided with my interest in competing in Yu-Gi-Oh. When I first got back into Yu-Gi-Oh, I was introduced to like the regional system and then the YCSs and eventually even traveling out to Nats. Those first few years for me, I wasn't very competitive. I was only just getting back into the game, but because like you, Trell, Chris, everyone, you guys were all playing in the events. I would just play too, and and my fun mostly came from playing at the bottom tables with other people, scrapping around with horrible decks, like interacting with like fans and stuff. Because that's how I spent most of my time. I would scrub out by round 4. And then I just hide and like sleep places in the venue. Some of you may have seen me at an event just asleep underneath stairs or something because I was never going to be able to play all 7 rounds, but I wouldn't be able to leave either. So.
Yeah.
But, then there came a point when I was more competitive and I would play as many rounds as like it was possible for me to top. And those were the times when I was the most interested in traveling to Yu-Gi-Oh! Events. And it was also nice that the channel was on this big like swell of momentum during those times. So every time we went to an event, we were approached by more and more people.
Yeah.
Now, did it get a little crazy sometimes?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, there's definitely gotta be like almost. We're gonna talk about some in this episode. I've met some crazy fans. I mean, I feel like fan stories. I always feel a little mixed about sharing them because I don't want to come across as like seeming ungrateful to have people excited to see you. Like, you know, you'll hear sort of YouTubers talk about like, what's your like wildest fan experience? And I've had some negative ones. You know, people have been excessive to me or, you know, one of us. But generally, I find like fan interaction to be fine. But you certainly, I have stories. That's all I'll say. But carry on.
Man, no, I'm bringing up a story right now.
Okay.
I remember when we went to our first team YCS.
Oh yeah.
And we just gotten through registration, and you know, it was a group of us, so people were whispering, "Oh my God, Team APS is here!" And I guess somebody wanted to like make a show of trying to like make us seem small, and he just kind of yells out, "What's a Team APS? I don't know what that is. I watch some small channel. YouTuber, or I watch insert name of other niche YouTuber," and he made such a big show of it to make sure we heard him, and we were just like. It was like, wow, someone's yelling our name.
It's very, I mean, you know, I guess if we are giving stories, I can give one. I've had people who want to talk to me really badly, but they don't respect that I'm talking to somebody else at the time. Like I might, you know, like if you're kind of surrounded by some fans or whatever, like I have spoken, like I'm speaking to one fan and another fan like runs up and like shouting in my ear, and it's like I have to finish talking to this person first. Like, please, you know, be respectful. I've had like that directly happen a couple of times. Few people try to like invite us to things like after the event.
A lot of people try and take us out, wine and dine us.
Yeah, which like no offense to those people, but like if I'm ever out of town. Like, I just, you know, I'm hours and hours away from home across state lines, and like someone that I don't know is just like, hey, come to the party or come to like my place. Come to the
after party.
Or like my place.
Come on and over do these things.
It's like, yeah, I can't. I mean, that and like, it's like already your modern content creating culture where like after parties are where the worst things end up happening sometimes.
Bro, you don't want to go to the content house?
Yeah, you go to the content house and the party and on the fans and underage. Things get insane, so...
Yeah, I mean, we've seen over the years, things like that can get quite scandalous. So we've always seen our way out, or at least I haven't been offered a proposition that felt good enough for me to take the risk. But...
Wow, that's the way to put it.
But... Like but I've genuinely enjoyed my time like moving through like the Yu-Gi-Oh tournament circuit. And that wasn't just like larger like YCSs, but like regionals and OTS tournaments. We'd move around and go to those.
Yeah.
But at some point, when our competitive streak kind of like died down,
yeah,
I started asking myself, because people would still like offer, like, hey, you guys want to go to this event? You want to go to that event? And I started asking myself, like, what am I gonna do there though?
Yeah, because
like I haven't played. Like I remember at one point it was during tier format. People wanted to go to an event, and I said, well, I don't know why I would go. Yeah,
like you're not really playing. I mean, for me, anime conventions literally serve my interests better. Like, you know, little known fact, it should be obvious, but like it's hard to when the way that you see somebody on the internet is like, okay, he is the Yu-Gi-Oh guy. Like, this is the Yu-Gi-Oh channel. So people would think, okay, Yu-Gi-Oh must be the thing I love more than anything in the world. But actually it's not. It's like maybe in my top 5, perhaps. I mean, I think it's like number 5 or something. But I have a lot of interest. I have a lot of things I enjoy. And like, truthfully, it's sometimes tough to even like get overall Yu-Gi-Oh enjoyment out of a YCS, because YCS are really just for like the card gaming kind of hardcore crowd.
Right.
And so like if you're an anime lover, there's not necessarily much for you at a YCS per se.
You gotta make your own fun.
You know, like a Yu-Gi-Oh anime things and all that.
Anybody want to play with my character decks?
Yeah.
I'll be Joey. You can be Bakura.
And you might find people like that. Like there are people who cosplay. There are people who do that. But generally speaking, I've found it's, you know, you'll literally find more Yu-Gi-Oh like cosplayers at an anime convention. So
that's true. I've met so many like Jaden, like Kaiba, and Yugi cosplayers. And they don't have a card from like after like 2012.
Yeah, or if they have a card, it'll be like okay, someone's like a modern character, like they're Yuya, but like they don't play this game. They just have like an odd eyes for the prop.
Right.
Which cool, by the way. Like that's not a bad thing, but
Though I do remember seeing a Yuya cosplayer, because a lot of these cons have like Yu-Gi-Oh tournaments. I remember this Yuya cosplayer going like full combo with like, what was it? Was it Tier? It was something crazy. He just all gas, just like wrecking someone's board.
There's at Anime NYC, we were at that just like not last month now, a little over a month ago, and there was the Kite Tenjo cosplayer who, she's really good. I forget her name. I follow her on social media, but like she cosplays.
We all follow cosplayers on social media. No big deal.
But she also actually plays like the Galaxy deck proficiently and like modern. Like it's she runs the Horus engine. Like
you got to.
It's the whole thing. So it was cool. And in addition to that, we still get to meet fans at the anime conventions.
Yeah, like, surprisingly, we meet quite a lot. I guess it shouldn't be that big of a surprise if you like Yu-Gi-Oh. It's almost guaranteed that you like anime as well. So
right,
there will be some like
somebody who likes Yu-Gi-Oh and doesn't like anime.
That I feel like that would be very tough to do and be, but probably not impossible.
Yeah, it's still
like guys, let us know if you've ever met someone who likes Yu-Gi-Oh but hates anime. I'm really curious.
I feel like that's very hard to.
Like, it should be impossible. But
or if you don't even hate anime, maybe it's just the only thing that you watch is Yu-Gi-Oh. But I still find that
I know some like anime agnostic types where like they have like one show and everything else is garbage.
Or in their eyes, that's the only real like.
Well, they don't. It's not anime. Like the one show isn't anime. It's quality television, and that anime garbage is bad though.
Yeah. So speaking of just like conventions, one that I am currently on the fence about going to is New York Comic Con. I've never gotten to go to a Comic Con before.
They're hard to get into.
Very hard. Very difficult.
And then like places like San Diego and New York are not cheap.
Yeah, they're expensive to go to. Right now, that's part of my decision is like, finding like lodging that's like somewhat affordable. You're going to fly out there. But I've never gone to a Comic-Con. I always find those to be pretty neat. I know that Yu-Gi-Oh! Is going to be at NYCC.
Yep.
And that's actually part of kind of why I want to go, because I remember back when Yu-Gi-Oh! Like Konami did a Yu-Gi-Oh! Booth at Anime NYC. Sorry, not Anime NYC.
No, that was
Anime Expo.
Anime Expo. Yep.
Yeah, 2022 was the last year they did that, and I went, and I remember like I got to duel against Asala, and he was like doing the whole like Duel the Masters thing, and so I thought that was kind of cool.
It's insane to me how popular the Yu-Gi-Oh booth is at these conventions.
Yeah,
despite the fact that like, a lot of these people are not modern Yu-Gi-Oh players. There are Yu-Gi-Oh players mixed in, but those booths attract a lot of casual like. I haven't played Yu-Gi-Oh in years types, or people who just know what Yu-Gi-Oh is. They say, "Oh, this looks cool and interactive."
Oh my god! Like I feel like this might be the rest of the conversation here. I have a lot to say about that. To me, when you see Yu-Gi-Oh at these conventions, it's such a different vibe. Mm-hmm. It is such a different vibe. It's kind of a different crowd, and like it proves that Yu-Gi-Oh is not like a dead game by any means.
It's not even niche.
It's not even like all that niche. Of the games that exist, when you walk into a convention, of like, the card games that exist, Yu-Gi-Oh kind of has this weird star power to it.
Yep.
That other games can't really like replicate.
We've seen many booths over the years. I've never seen any booth come close to what Yu-Gi-Oh booths do at these conventions.
And there's like a lot of comparisons you can make. Like, for instance, you won't often see Magic the Gathering at a convention at all.
Right.
Like, it won't have a booth. Wizards of the Coast isn't at a booth. Now, when there's like the card game free play area, yeah, there's going to be Magic players there.
Plenty of them.
But in terms of like, what's at a booth, it gets to live both lives because it is an anime property, so it belongs to an anime convention, while also just being like a game that can like kind of have an industry display, and
there's so many, and they show off the diverse ways you can interact with Yu-Gi-Oh as well.
Yeah, they have all the digital games on display. They've got Duel the Master. They've got like a kind of a little card shop. There's judges with Speed Duel. There's like usually the token booth.
Yep.
Something I'm really hoping they start doing is showing that VR thing. That little Yu-Gi-Oh! VR. Low key, I expect them to do that within the next, like, probably not like soon, but maybe a year from now, I could see them having that be an attraction that's only at like a New York Comic Con or a San Diego Comic Con. Yu-Gi-Oh!
Those would be very popular
Yeah.
moments people would like to like enjoy and capture.
Yeah, like you bet like two of them, and you got to wait in line because you're used to waiting in line at cons.
That's the whole experience at
Yeah.
conventions.
So that could be kind of neat. But getting back to my point, I think that it proves that Yu-Gi-Oh is people are interested in it. Like people want to. There's like an allure. There are people who want to play Yu-Gi-Oh or be exposed to it. As for what you'll get when you actually are,
Mixed
it could be
bag.
many things. But there are a lot of casuals who recognize it, and like just people who are like, I want to. There's a Yu-Gi-Oh booth here. I got to get there. I got to see what's there.
That's true. I mean, Yu-Gi-Oh is one of those games that really is what you make of it. And you see that on full display at these anime conventions, but when Yu-Gi-Oh has when there's a booth for it, because people come from all walks of life to experience Yu-Gi-Oh. They can go anywhere else in this convention. They came here. And those booths stay busy all day, every day.
Yeah, and you'll see people trying out these like digital games, oftentimes not even knowing that like
Not knowing what a rush duel is.
or like what the Duel Links even exist. Like there's some people who think Duel Links is their first time seeing it, but they are at the booth playing it and like trying it out.
Right.
Because if you think about it, if somebody already plays Duel Links or they already play Master Duel, then really they don't have much reason to go to like those little
play little
kiosks,
demos,
to play
yeah.
the demo kiosk. But the kiosks are always full.
Yep.
So I'm led to believe that the people playing them are like newbies or like returning players or just interested patrons kind of passing by. So there's like there's an urge to play Yu-Gi-Oh for sure.
It's something that I think Konami wishes they could tap into more. And I guess in some ways that's how they do it. I think they recognize that, there's a lot of like past Yu-Gi-Oh players and I wish I could play Yu-Gi-Oh players out there. And then they go to these conventions because that's a very large anime loving like group of people, and they just kind of make a bet. It's like, I bet a certain percentage of people, they know what Yu-Gi-Oh is and they either have or want to play, so let's give them the opportunity in a stress-free environment where you don't have to know about the meta game, you don't have to know complex card interactions, you can just enjoy yourself.
I've always felt that a key thing for Konami would be to try to kind of merge these two worlds where they can. So right now, I think that YCS events, it's not that there isn't any of it being done, but like at an anime convention, people will cosplay as Yu-Gi-Oh characters and come by the Yu-Gi-Oh booth.
Yep.
Why then do they not really feel comfortable going to a YCS in Yu-Gi-Oh cosplay and like
they'll get
doing
scraped.
that? Yeah, and so it's like I feel like if there can be a way to, some connective tissue, more connective tissue.
I mean, if there were a way to play Yu-Gi-Oh that didn't seem so terrifying,
Yeah, that would probably.
if you could just pick up some of your favorite cards and play a competent game, because I think that's the fear that most past Yu-Gi-Oh players have, is that if I show up to like a local or anything with the cards that I like and have played in the past, I'm gonna get violated.
Yeah, and then you'll feel bad and you won't want to come back. And so because there's not a it's like 0 or 100 sort of thing.
Yeah.
Like either you're just not playing or you're playing like 50 step combo. It can feel like there's not a middle ground, and therefore there's not like just an avenue to kind of get into it, get your feet wet without going into the deep end.
It's like, it's kind of funny, if you look at Yu-Gi-Oh over the years, how is there even a way to describe the relative power level of decks nowadays? Since at one point Thunder Dragons were what someone would have called that a 9 or a 10 in power, but today what Thunder Dragons would be, what, a 5?
Yeah, I mean it's hard to say. I even think that like Yu-Gi-Oh being so power creep prone best word I can think of. So power creep prone is such that, like, okay, if you were to rate decks from, like, you know, a power level of 1 through 5, let's say, you know, we were talking about like their Magic the Gathering, they're trying to do like kind of a 1 through 4 thing. We'll say 1 through 5 with, like, we'll take Snake Eye Fire King or something pre-ban list, right? Like kind of a couple months back. Snake Eye is like a 5 in power level of a deck.
For sure.
Well, I think that you can only really base the 1 through 5s on things that came out in the last 2 years. 2.5 years.
Because it feels anything
because
older
anything older than that, it's not even actually like, it's like a different Yu-Gi-Oh. Like it's but do you get what I mean?
I do.
So it's like, it's not that Thunder Dragons are like, oh, like they were a 4.5 or something before, and now they're like a 2.5 or a 3. It's that they are just not a 2022 plus deck. It is a like 2018 to 2021 deck or 2020 deck. Like it's just, it was playing that Yu-Gi-Oh! And when you try to play a Thunder Dragon deck as it was against what exists today, you're competing on different axes, really.
3 Colossus won't save you.
Yeah, and it's not. Yeah, that's the thing. It's like, you know, Colossus being at 2 or 3 or whatever isn't the defining factor anymore. It's just that by design, decks that are older just often are not doing what the newer decks are. They don't have maybe cards that activate in the opponent's turn independently, or, you know, just the whole 3 effect rule that everything has now. Thunder Dragons like weren't operating on, and it's not just Thunder Dragons, like plenty of decks were not operating on that level. So that's where, like, yeah, if you're a returning player and you try to bring your thing from freaking 2014, God forbid, 15, you just,
I know people who played in 2008.
yeah, it will just feel foreign.
Not even remotely the same game. I mean, I think that was what they were trying to bridge with speed duels. I think that's why you know, you couldn't really play paper Yu-Gi-Oh at those booths unless it was Duel the Master or Speed Duels. That was your 2 options. You either are playing fully high octane Yu-Gi-Oh with one of the best to ever do it, or you're playing like baby Speed Duel Yu-Gi-Oh with these pre-constructed decks.
Yeah. And the fact that there has to be that big a divide is like a little telling.
Because I mean,
like it's 0 or 100 almost.
Because
right? Like,
what was that? What was your matchup versus Asala? You were playing.
I was playing Cyber Dragon.
Yeah, Cyber Dragon.
He was
versus,
playing Branded.
Yeah, Branded.
Which, like, this is 2022.
It was what, Speed Duel Battle City next to you guys.
Yeah, or like a little Speed Duel demo thing. Like it was such a, you know, I don't know. I think at these events, maybe they should have like I think they have mini regionals at some of them. Like maybe New York I think the Comic-Cons have like mini regional type things that they do.
That sounds horrible.
Flights. Well, if you come prepared, it's fine. But I do wonder how many people going to an event like that enter with like a structure deck they just purchased from like at that event, thinking that would be enough.
Look at the hat you're wearing. I remember when we went to DreamCon a couple years.
Oh yeah,
we'd host those DreamCon tournaments, and we would get a real mixed bag of players. There would be there'd be some guys would show up with their meta optimized decks. Those usually like 1 or 2 of those. Then there was like the enthusiasts who they kept up with the game but did not have powerful decks. Yeah. And then you had
truly like
the guy who saw that there was going to be a tournament, hasn't played Yu-Gi-Oh in many years, to say ran out and just bought a deck off the show floor.
Low key, those DreamCons and other anime events and stuff like that, those are so great for getting that perspective. Like you really will learn. Like it's so crazy. You know, we do this as like a job, so we're just Yu-Gi-Oh all day, every day. We're just thinking about it, talking. You know, it's being exposed to these cards, and when you discuss it, you find yourself in this bubble.
Yeah,
where everything is always just viewed from the lens of like the knowing, ongoing Yu-Gi-Oh hardcore person. This product sucks because it's not like reprinting these cards and blah, 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 like the power creep. But like some of these people, I can't stress enough how blissfully, might I add, ignorant they are of it all.
I remember the kid who pulled the 10,000 dragon.
Yeah, a kid pulls a 10,000 dragon at one of these events, stuffs it in his pocket.
Yeah, we had to give him a sleeve and a prayer.
Yeah, because he just bought a random. He wasn't gunning for the card. He didn't know what pack he bought. He just
didn't know
went
it was in
and
there.
saw like, oh, like Yu-Gi-Oh cards still exist in like 2022 or whatever. Like I'm gonna buy like a random pack. Pulls a 10,000 dragon. Does not see any significance. Doesn't pause for a beat.
He asked us if he could build a deck with the cards he had pulled. And he sifts through the cards, and we're like, I mean, these are all kind of just random, so not really. Then a 10,000 dragon is just sitting it's in the middle, like all regular in the stack of cards.
And for these people, and I don't share the story to like, it's not an insult to him. It's just he is so detached, and almost maybe it must be nice, like being that far removed from. But
he still cared to show up and try and play.
Yeah, and that brings you back, right, to that whole people do want to play Yu-Gi-Oh.
Mm-hmm. And YCS events and stuff. I mean, that's great for people who are really into Yu-Gi-Oh, modern, like very like high level Yu-Gi-Oh. But there's way more people who would love to be able to interact with Yu-Gi-Oh in a way that is not.
Like it's interesting. I think that there is an aspiration to be good at it. Mm-hmm. Because like he wanted to build a deck, which implies that he wants to play, which implies that he wants like a deck that functions and probably can like win. But win for him doesn't mean like get the YCS top. It means like have a good time, sling some cards, like they do their thing, and you pull a win out at the end of it.
I do miss slinging cards. I mean, that's why I enjoy the series that we make, because our games are so scrappy. Sometimes we just sling cards. Nowadays, I mean, one of you slings cards and the other one sits there.
Yeah, I think like for people like him, it's I like that you pointed out, because it's like the interest was already there.
Yeah.
He bought a Yu-Gi-Oh pack.
We didn't force him. We didn't even know he existed until he showed up.
But it's just that like he simply doesn't know. And
DreamCon didn't even market those tournaments.
Yeah, people, you just have to see a sign. But yeah, so I don't know. I think it's something that I don't see for any other card, like any other trading card game. I don't think gets it.
No, like I mean, there are popular card games out there.
Like here's the thing.
Don't get me wrong.
Pokemon, collected all the time. It's more popular than Yu-Gi-Oh as like a just collectible game. It is like miles ahead. And Magic, I think, rivals Yu-Gi-Oh in the like core department. Mm-hmm. I think they're what and what. Maybe Magic's even like winning depending on like what axis you're maybe measuring. Like, but we're talking game that everyone kind of just wants to play and like wants to have been associated with in some fashion. I think Yu-Gi-Oh wins hands down, and it doesn't feel close. If
Yu-Gi-Oh could somehow tap into the full market for Yu-Gi-Oh, everybody who has played and loved Yu-Gi-Oh at any point in their lives, and could just bring them back into the game for just one day, we blow every single card game, even Pokemon, right out the water.
Yeah, I think there'd be a real revival. Like it's, we always kind of find ourselves wondering, like, how do we grow Yu-Gi-Oh, or is Yu-Gi-Oh dying? All these things, and what it really comes down to is just that, like, if we could just, like you said, get them all in the same room, and give them a way to play, like a power level that feels accessible, a power level that feels fulfilling, an on-ramp towards what those things are.
It's a simple problem, but the answer...
Not so easy.
Not easy.
Well, I'll wrap by saying, though, that that's been a great experience I've gotten only by going to anime conventions, I think. Seeing that. And now I feel like I yearn for that more than I yearn for... Because I've seen everything that I can kind of see at a YCS. Not that I'll never go to one.
You haven't seen a hologram yet. We've never been able to see those stupid holograms.
Well, what's funny is I feel like we're at a point where like we would probably sooner see it at an anime or like a New York Comic Con. Like,
true.
So that's my stance on it. I mean, anything else
hey guys, catch us at your next anime convention. We try to go to like a lot of big ones.
Yeah, there's like a 50-50 chance might be at New York Comic Con, and if we're not there, we'll probably be at the next kind of major thing around.
Give us ideas too if there's any like ones that you guys go to in the comments.
For sure.
Because there's a few on kind of like in Florida and like Georgia. There's a few that I do want to hit.
Still haven't gotten to go to a MomoCon yet.
Yeah, still not MomoCon.
There's a few others. I want to go to like a Level Up Expo. That's something I've heard. It's more of like a somewhat gaming.
Yeah, it's
thing,
more of a gamer one.
We've gone to some PAXs. PAX South. Haven't gone to a PAX,
PAX
East
South.
or West. So
rest in peace.
And have not gone to a Gen Con. That's a pretty.
I could have gone to Gen Con. I didn't. I did not go to Gen Con. But hey,
Anywho.
catch Paul at the next TwitchCon.
Oh God, I don't think I'll be there. I'm surprised YouTube doesn't have a
Getting
con.
beaten up by a kick streamer.
I swear, if that happens, you don't want to know. Anyway, there should be a YouTube con. I'll go to a YouTube con. I guess YouTube's con is like sort of VidCon, but it's like unofficial.
I forgot VidCon existed.
I was invited to go once. I just didn't.
Lame.
Well, not like officially invited. Someone was like, "Are you going?" And I was like, "No." Okay.
I only go when the tickets are paid for.
I don't get out of bed for less than $1,000. So no. Anyway, cool. Well, hopefully you guys enjoyed this extra minutes, extra turns, extra draws.
Extra draw, turn 2. I don't know.
Yeah, we drew some cards.
We'll see you guys in the next one.
Pass turn.